Good morning. Good morning. Everyone, good morning. In the news this morning. I don't know why that's doing that. Uploading to YouTube gets a little annoying sometimes. Mobile dashboard. Alright. On Siri suggested. Oh, that's such a good one. Alright. Alrighty. Nobody here yet. Good morning. Hmm. Good morning, you three, Grayson, Audrey, and Elena. So 4. I was just reading something there. Sophia, good morning as well, and Madison. Okay, Kim's. Rachel, good morning. So, a little bit of a bummer. We lost Chloe. She withdrew because work was getting crazy and she couldn't manage both of them. So we lost Chloe, which is a big bummer. So there's still 14 of you. So, and anybody else that comes by and says hi. Because I broadcast on my Twitch, I broadcast on my Twitter that I go live, and I am a we'll just say friend of a Discord community called the Knowledge Fellowship of edu streamers on Twitch. So they come by every once in a while and say hi. So, we still have a potential for a good group of people. Today, I think what we're gonna do is I want to try something a little different. And what that means for you is talking to each other in chat. And so I want to wait for a few more people to show up. Hi, Destiny. When I wait for a few more people to show up, and then we will get to it. So it's going to be a communicate. So we will consider chat a group today, and you will all attempt to work together. Okay, so that's what I mean by a little different. I know there's been some interaction with you all in chat, but today for groups, we're definitely gonna try to make that like a bigger reality. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Does that make sense? Let me know in chat if you're super confused about what I mean. Because everyone being on the same page is obviously very important for this. Okay. And so it will require like depending on what you do on your own computer, it does require you to keep Twitch page active, or at least chat active, so you can and lots of you ask questions about social loafers, so try not to be one, maybe. Right. Morning, Aaliyah. All right, so I think a good group of you have joined in. We're not going to start with that one. So I just wanted to get everyone on board that that's what we're planning to do for this first hour, is this thing. But what I wanted to start with in chat, is tell me, what groups do you belong to? What groups, based on the definition that I gave in the lecture video or that you read in the textbook, what groups do you belong to? Would you consider your membership as important to yourself? So your self-identity, your self-concept, these sorts of things. What groups, group memberships are important to you? Let me know in chat. As we wait for more viewers and more chatters to come by, so we can do the bigger activity. Because I prefer people to not jump in, like, go, wait, what are we doing? So, wanna get us going first. I know some people aren't going to be here this morning. Few others left in class that can come by. I'm gonna ask a question of my Discord community. Let me know which groups you belong to in chat right now. While I do this. Righty. Family and friend groups. Audrey, a little more specificity associated with that, please. Welcome, Eric. So what we are doing is we are telling everyone in chat which groups that we are a part of, to get us started. What groups we identify with, and I'm looking for some specificity with groups. So just let me know what those are in chat. So a little bit more specific, Audrey. Maybe a little bit more specific, Elena. They don't have to be physical groups. Again, the definition of group. Grayson, basshead, illenial, or is that basshead? Is it the fish or is it the instrument? / sound. And what is Illennial? D&D groups. Equestrians. I like that. Okay, so basehead. All right. So you play bass, I assume. Rachel, basketball team. Great. That's a good group. Band. What kind of band? Church. LGBT. Great. What kind of church? A little bit more, Audrey. Still a little bit more. That's still too vague. Libertarians. Madison, soccer. T in LGBT from Merrick. Okay. Fam at work. So you have a work family, I guess, Merrick. Cosplayers. Okay. There you are, Joe. Elena, volleyball team. All right. Aaliyah, cross country. Cool. I'm sure you know that Chris Robinson is just an amazing dude. So yeah. Basehead is a group in the EDM scene, and Illennials are the specific group of basehead who sports Illenium's music. Oh, I see. Okay, I thought it was a... Man, things you learn. Things you learn. It's fun. I thought it was like 100%. Have just like some play on millennials or something. I don't. He's too young to be a millennial. So, and Joe, minority group, athletic group, gamer group. Please be a little bit more specific on that. So, like, be proud of the groups that you are a part of. Like, what are those groups? What are those groups? I am a Dodger fan for life. I am part of the faculty at college and academia as a whole. What other groups am I in? I am a streamer. It's a varied group. I tried to stream games and that didn't work very much. That didn't work very well. I am a scientist as well. Psychologist. Those are groups, right? Sophia, Overwatch gaming community, as you mentioned the other day with your Overwatch issues. Yep. LGBT, okay. Community supporter. I don't know what that means. Theater, okay. Join those productions at Eureka is great. Kitty is a Nuggets fan and a Colorado native. Okay. I don't much watch basketball, so you can have your Nugget fandom, yes. What other groups? I mean, obviously I'm a white dude, so those are groups that I belong to. I'm a film fan. That's another group that I belong to. I can understand why this is difficult. But still, we could be a little bit more... Be proud of the... Proud. Not very proud of the white male right now. Have I ever been? Probably not. Okay, Joe. A group of people who play games for hours without rest. You're good at everything you do athletically. That's an empirical question. Put that to the test. Kidding. Group of the popular loner. As you know a lot of people, but you don't hang out with them. That is great. An anime group. Amazing. Belong to the group with a loving and very supportive family. Cool. An African American. Yep. Yeah, see, that's the kind of response that I want, y'all. That's the response that I want. So, I don't know, for those of you I asked to try again, do it. Do it. Yeah, buddy. Alright. I think everybody is here. D1 soccer? Grayson? Wow, fair. Advocate for a group called MAPS. What is MAPS? Please tell me it has something to do with MAPS. Okay. Multidisciplinary Association for Psychedelic Studies. So I'm assuming that you are well versed in what they're doing with ketamine, psilocybin, and LSD. Everyone. What are they doing with those things? Not play. Do not play. Do not. Good. All right. Everyone is here. Everyone is here. So. Oh, yeah. MDMA. That's true. Okay. Here. All right. So, as I mentioned at the start of the stream, chat is going to be a group. Chat is going to be a group. And your job is to figure out how to rescue people from a cave. Okay? Your job is to rescue people from a cave. All right, so this is the background. I'm going to read it, even though I'm sure you can read it. But if you have the text, if you have my video smaller on your screen, so you can have chat there, maybe you can't read it. So I made it super big. I'll make it one bigger. All right, so this is a cave rescue mission. And so as chat, you are going to work together to determine how to solve this problem. Okay? That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do for probably until break, because it's involved. Okay, does that make sense? All right, if at any point you are confused, type it in chat so I can see that, and don't just sit back and be a social loafer, because all of you asked a question about social loafing, so you're aware of it. You're aware of it. No social loafers here. Okay? All right. The Research Management Committee is responsible for a number of projects and team building at the university. An emergency meeting has been called because of a crisis in one of the projects for which you are responsible, you being the committee. Okay? And so you are chat. Write this in chat right now. Chat equals the Research Management Committee. Yes. Oops. Okay. Project is studying teams under stressful conditions. Thanks, Kitty. In a remote part of Perthshire. The experiment involves 6 volunteers living underground in a cave system for 14 days. The team's only connection to the outside world is a telephone link to the research station at the entrance to the caves. A call for help has been received from the volunteers. Access to the cave has been blocked by a major fall of rock, and their only way out is now through a very long and arduous cave system subject to flooding. Sounds like what happened to those hikers and kids in Southeast Asia, right? Was it Cambodia, I think? The local cave rescue team reports that it will be extremely difficult to get them out because the only route into the cave where the team are living is very narrow, and when it's flooded, it is only possible to get one person out each hour. In the circumstances of continuing heavy rainfall, it is probable that the rapidly rising water will mean that the rescuers will not be able to bring all of the volunteers to safety before the water completely floods their cave. Through their link to the research station, the volunteers have been made aware of the seriousness of their situation. They have said that they are unwilling to decide on sequence by which they will be rescued. The responsibility for making this decision now rests with the Research Management Committee. You all. You must decide the order of rescue. You have 20 minutes. I'm going to give you a little bit more than that. Before the cave rescue team arrives at the entrance to the cave system. Okay? I'm going to throw up the biological details on the 6 volunteers. Okay? And so you are going to decide on the order in which they will be rescued. Hi, Megan. We are doing a group activity where chat is a research management committee tasked with rescuing 6 people. Okay? All right. I will be the observer, obviously. Okay? And I will help answer questions. Okay, so here are the biographical details. I will go back and forth because they span a couple of pages, and there's no way I can make this smaller and still be readable, or bigger and not readable, really. So or scrolling. So we'll just do this. Okay, so here are the first 3, and then I'll show you the second 3. Okay? So you might want to make notes, but your job is to chat with chat. You have to chat. And so how you direct conversation is you can just type, right, as you normally do. But then you can also use the @ symbol and start writing a name. Ellie made a house. The ones that are green are anyways, the ones that are green are black, are showing up as black. Anyways, she made the door. What? Oh, I gotta show the. Okay, I gotta show you the door. And in there. Or. There's a window back here. Yep. One of my students says she loves it. Where's the other window? Oh, it's up here. The other window is up here. It's an air conditioner. Oh, this is the air conditioner, everyone. Okay. Oh, there's the window. You can stick your finger through it. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Very cool, baby. All right, take it back upstairs, okay? There's a man in it. Oh, good times. All right. So here are 3 of the people. All right, Helen Richardson, female. So you can use the @ symbol, by the way. I'm sorry. You can use the @ symbol, and then start typing somebody's name, their username, not their name. If you want to direct something to somebody, okay, to a particular person, or you can just write in chat, okay, and you can continue conversation that way. Remember, there's going to be a little bit of a delay for what you type, what people see, what people read, okay? So just be aware of that. Just be aware of that. All right, so here are the 3 people. And then... Oh, my goodness, I'm very burpy. The other 3 people, I'll show you in just a second. So Helen Richardson, female, age 34. Helen is married and a homemaker. Her husband is a member of the city council. She has been a promising psychology student. She had been a promising psychology student before leaving the university to be married. Helen has 4 children, ages 7 months to 8 years, so good span, and lives in a suburban community near the university. Not anymore. She lives in a cave. Helen became introduced to the experiment through Owen, with whom she has become involved. Oh, why am I scrolling? Sorry. Tozo Naoko. I think female, age 19. Tozo is a single and pre-med student at Provincial University. Her parents live in Tokyo, where her father is a prominent businessman and her mother is a chairperson of the Cancer Research Foundation. She has achieved top honors in her classes for the last 3 years and has been awarded 2 scholarships for academic achievements. Tozo was voted by her classmates as most likely to succeed and intends to return to Japan and set up free clinic for the poor. Okay, and then the third one here, John Simpson, male, age 41. John is married and campus coordinator of Catholic Social Services at Provincial University. He has 5 children, ages 6 to 19. John worked full-time while attending the university and earned his master's degree in social work. He has become involved in an anti-racist group, which holds frequent protests. Black Lives Matter. Sure. All right, here is Owen. 4th one. Owen Smith, male, age 40. Owen is a landed immigrant and a high school physical education instructor. PE. He is unmarried and currently unemployed because the school got rid of PE. He is an automobile mechanic by trade. He was involved in a serious car accident 4 years ago and lost the use of his left hand. Since the accident, he has taken on odd jobs and relied mostly on government assistance. 2 years ago, he developed an alcohol problem and is currently attending AA meetings. That's Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm pretty sure that you're aware of that, but I just wanted to make that clear. He is American and served in Vietnam. I don't know why they separated it that way. where he received several distinguished decorations. Since returning to civilian life, Owen has been unsettled and his drinking became a problem. He came to Canada 5 years ago and met Helen, the wife of a co-teacher. We already know that they are involved somewhat. They are having some type of affair. Okay? And here are the last two. Suni Vapar, male, age 47. Suni is a medical research scientist at University Hospital. He is recognized as a world authority on the treatment of immune deficiencies. Suni is part of a research team testing a new experimental treatment for the cure of AIDS. He feels that he is getting closer to discovering a cure for AIDS, but much of the research data is still in his working notebooks. He recently suffered nervous exhaustion from overwork and volunteered for this project because he felt he needed a break. Bro. Dude. Why? That's not a break. Anyways. Last person. Edward Palmerston. Male. Age 59. Edward is married with 2 grown children who both have their families. Edward is the owner... Their own family, sorry. Edward is the owner and president of a medium-sized manufacturing company. His company employs 250 people and recently has fallen on hard times due to the loss of a major account. Recently, his company has laid off 50 employees and is facing possible bankruptcy. Edward has personally negotiated a major contract for his company, and final contract details are awaiting his return to work. This contract, if signed, would guarantee future employment for all 250 employees for at least 10 years. Active socially and politically in the community, Edward's hobby is spelunking, exploring caves. So if you didn't know that, you have a new word for your lexicon. And he intends to write a book on the subject. Okay. Alright, well, you obviously don't have this, so one way that we can do this in chat is to put, like, the number next to the name. And why don't we just use first names to make it easier? You don't have to do full names. Just use first names. They all have different first names. Okay? So, go! Grayson already started. Eric already put her thing in. Hi, Haley. Chat is working on a group project, group activity. Chat is responsible for rescuing... Oh, not in order, okay. Chat is responsible for rescuing 6 people from a cave. Okay, so that is what you are joining in. Okay. All right, so those are notes, everyone. I will go back up here so you can. So here are Helen, Kozo, John, Owen. Okay. You might want to take some notes either on your computer or on a piece of paper, some scratch notes or whatever. All right. Got Helen, Ozo, John, Owen, Sunny, Sunny, Edward. I think it's funny that Edward is there after I've just watched the Light Saga. Everyone's in agreement about Owen being last. Okay. Okay. Maybe on one of the rescue attempts, just bring Owen a bottle of whiskey or something, right? Sonny or Edward first? Sonny because of AIDS cure. That one. Okay. Thanks for the follow. Ice Bear is cute. Huh? I like this chat, y'all. Thanks for the follow. Six got skills. Keep it coming. Keep it going. They don't all have kids. They all don't have kids, unless you're just only referring to how the order of the middle fit. Ah, AJ, welcome to the party now. Okay, I'm sure you've been following along. Yay! Yeah, there is one person who is 19. Ozo. Although I wouldn't consider her a kid. 19. Younger than all of them, yes. But I wouldn't consider her a kid. I'm surprised there weren't more younger people in this group that went to the cave. But, you know. To each their own, I suppose. Ah, I like that one, Audrey. I like that one. Are we ruling out children? These dilemmas, and this is real life. This is real life. This happens all the time. Real life. you know? Mm-hmm. All right. Activist, greater good. Sonny and Edward. Sonny and Edward have broader reaching responsibilities. Yeah. Indeed. Scroll here so you guys can see that. Keep it going. All right. So, Merrick has an order. Merrick's order, okay. All right. So we've got some buy-in to Merrick's order. And how? Okay. Sonny, John, Tozo, Edward, Helen, Owen. The adulterers are last. Well, at least they get to have some alone time. Get to have an alone time for an hour. That's all I'm here for is commentary on the discussion as the observer. That's a good question, Six. Or AJ. Good question. Why Owen versus Helen? Because he has the least to bring society. She has the least to bring society. Owen at least has a trade. Oh, damn. The fact that he's a mechanic. And can teach PE, I guess. So, Kitty is suggesting that he is not irredeemable because of his alcohol use disorder. No one is irredeemable, right? Especially if we're talking about drugs. Hey, man. That's not nice. Not nice. I can do a lot of stuff. Sweet. Finally. Change the order. And how? Oh well. Yeah, he's going to AA, so points for him. Yeah, like I said, no one is irredeemable. And if we're going to talk about drug addiction, then we should definitely not fault people for that. So, I mean, the order is maybe less important, but you're right. He does have a trade. Alexa, I didn't ask you. Didn't ask you. He doesn't have a job, Audrey. He doesn't have a job. Both of you are more than welcome to have your opinions on that. Yep. Okay, so where are we at with order? Merrick, if you want to go, I think a lot of people bought into your order. So you want to throw that up again? Just in chat, so people don't have to scroll back through, or I don't have to scroll back through. Please. Go. And we have a debrief after this. I don't care about your dream, person on the song. Okay, Merrick, Sonny, John, Tozo, Edward, Helen, Owen. Okay. For the rest of you, give me a +1 in chat. So a literal, if you buy in to Merrick's order. Do that now. It looked like and my +1 is not, it does not count as the observer. Okay, so we got Audrey, Destiny, Sophia, Madison, AJ. Grayson, Gorilla Joe. All right, Kitty. Good to have you on board there. Two, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay. Who's holding out? I think there's 1 or 2 holdouts on this. Megan, Haley. All right. All right. It looks like I think that's good. I think we've reached a consensus. It might be unanimous at this stage. It might be unanimous for all the chatters that are here. So we have Sonny for his AIDS research. Somebody needs to tell him, now that we've saved you, dude, publish that. Publish that research. Then we've got John here. John is the John Simpson, okay? Because of his, I guess, activist past. I think that's what the conversation really showed. And then we have Tozo. She has her whole life ahead of her, and she seems to be quite bright and active and stuff like that. So let's get her out there. Edward, because he needs to fix his company, and he's a spelunker. Okay, Helen. Okay, because she has kids to look after. Regardless of her involvement with Owen, okay, and her feelings toward her husband, right? Maybe somebody should tell her, now that we've saved your life, go back to school. We'll work with you with this little one, okay? And then Owen, hey man, you saved your life. Let's work on that alcohol, shall we? All right, so that's the order. Okay, so I have a few questions for you based on the debrief. All right, so so this is the debrief, and you can see who I adapted it from. As a group activity, group exercise for management. Okay, for management. So human resources management. This is where that was adapted from. All right. Was consensus reached? I think I did that already. Okay. Now, did you feel like your point was heard and considered by team members when you made a point? Do you think that people listened to you, that they liked your insight, that they appreciated your insight, that your comments were welcome? I think because consensus was reached, I think that we can say people weren't unhappy with the outcome. I mean, you could reach consensus. You can reach consensus, but still be unhappy with the decision. I mean, that's what happens in group decision making, right? That's the quality of compromise that that we need to make as large groups, right? Now here's the interesting thing. these are the key points that this human resources management educator wanted people to know. Okay. The first point is, instead of the committee making the decision, you should have said, and nobody did, and that's okay. That's okay. It was a completely viable answer, but a lot outside the box, right? You could have said your position in the group could have been, let them make the decision. We're not going to come up with the order. Okay. So that's thought number one, right? But then if we take a step back and look at this exercise as something that I wanted to explore after the break, is this idea of echo chambers. Okay? Idea of echo chambers. And we're going to watch a TED Talk on that. Because we all use social media, right? We all use social media. And many of you, including me, probably exist within some sort of bubble where we get our news, who we talk to, who we associate with. These are all aspects of a group that make being in a group very important to our reason for being. So there were some questions about like, why does mortality salience increase group membership or something like that? And it's because we want to maintain some reason for being, a reason for living. There was another question about why do people join groups or why do people leave groups, and it has a lot to do with. And then I think there was another question about entitativity. About groupness, the idea of how much a group is a group and why humans join groups. And it's because we want to belong to something, and being a part of a group allows us to affiliate with that thing. So we join groups to really hit that need, that really carnal, deep need to belong with other people. And when you do that, your beliefs are shaped by that. And those beliefs will then indicate and dictate your decisions. And if you want your decisions to be met by other people, well, then you got to start being persuasive. Then you got to start using social influence, like the last couple of days that we've been talking. Then you got to get people to come to your group and be a part of your group. So this week of attitudes, social influence, those 2 days of social influence, so persuasion, compliance, conformity, and obedience, and then today, group, all feed into Monday. Which is our watch party of 12 Angry Men. Our watch party on 12 Angry Men. So that's Monday. So this week was a 100% precursor of all of the things for that movie. Okay? So, yeah. AJ, an echo chamber is you can think of it as what it would literally be, right? It'd be a big box made of, some hard surface, like we'll say metal, and when you shout into it, you can just hear the reverberations of your own voice. Okay? Like, hello! And then, hello, hello, hello. So the idea is, metaphorically, that your own voice reverberates and echoes from other people saying the same thing. Okay, so an echo chamber in the metaphorical sense is people who think and act like you, saying the same things as you, therefore confirming, because of confirmation bias, therefore confirming your position and the things that you've said. So that's what echo chambers are. Okay. All right, everyone. We are going to pick up that discussion about echo chambers and beliefs and social media after the break. Come back at 10:06, will you? I am going to switch to this viewer and take a quick break. All right. Alrighty. So, like I said, we are going to start this hour by talking about your bubbles. But first, before I play this TED Talk, which is about 9 minutes long, I do want to know what social media you use. So please let me know in chat which social media you use. Do you use Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, Snapchat does not count because that's more of a TikTok is one that counts, but Snapchat is more like a messaging social media thing and less like an information bubble kind of thing. Instagram, that's also another one that counts. So Snapchat doesn't count because I include that in messaging. But Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr. Okay, so we have some Twitterers. Okay. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Mostly Insta and Tumblr. TikTok. Okay. What will all of you TikTokers do if the State Department bans it? This is scary. In May, I downloaded TikTok to see what the hullabaloo was regarding all the people sharing how they were cheating tests and stuff. I thought that was quite funny. Rachel, cry for a second. I will live in Canada. Oh, you VPNers, love it. Whatever. They're not gonna pay about it. So, yeah. And Kitty is probably right where doing that would probably get lawsuited super quick. Yeah. Megan says it'll be fine though. I love it. MySpace. Joe, you still use MySpace? Link your... Oh, wait, you're not going to be able to link it. Sorry about that, everyone. I was getting a phone call. Just decided to jump in to my computer. Great. Oh, I was just about to say, Joe, link me your MySpace, bro. You set your location and, Aaliyah, that's not how it works, unfortunately. Because they would ban it through IP addresses, so you would need a VPN to fool. Just setting your location as Canada just is an identifier. Sorry, everyone, about the phone call. Oh, yeah, I think it was my doctor's office trying to... I disagree, Kitty. I disagree. MySpace was the worst. Fact that you had to be friends with Tom. Fact that you had to be friends with Tom. Awful. Tom's doing okay these days, by the way. All right. So, with all of these social media accounts, we've got friends on those accounts, right? We've got friends, and like with something like, well, with both Instagram, Facebook, you probably have your family on there too. And definitely with Facebook, you have your family. and older generations of your family or friends or what. This is actually another question that I have for you all. How many, excluding TikTok, because I don't think this is a thing because of what kind of service it is. But how many of you on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, yeah, we'll do that. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. How many of you or let me know which of you is your account private? My account on Facebook is private. My Instagram is also private. But my Twitter is public. So that's my public facing. That's my public facing social media. So that's where I do all of my. That's where I do all of my like outreach or sharing of whatever teaching or thing I like. I also do my love of gifts on that one. So, if you want to follow me on Twitter to get the gifts and the humor. But there's also, and if you want, I can give you a reciprocal follow on that Twitter if you'd like. But once you graduate, you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram if you'd like. But that's private for me. Those two are private for me and my close friends, of course. Because all I do is bash students there, right? I don't. But it's more personal stuff. Twitter sometimes gets personal stuff, but if it's relevant. Merrick, I'm assuming that you mean all of them are public. I don't know what you mean by not one of them. I can't remember how I phrased my question. Rachel, none is private. Okay. Aaliyah, all of them are private. AJ, you have a private Insta. Okay. One of my Insta accounts is private. One is public. Ooh, Audrey. Are you a secret influencer that I don't know about? Oh, you can make your account private on TikTok. Okay, I didn't know that. All right, that's fair. So you only like share the videos that you make with people that follow you? Is that what it is? It's a spam account. I see. Both. Okay, Sophia, Instagram, and Twitter are private. Twitter public. Grayson, everything else is private. Same dude. City of Freedom, Twitter public, but I have a public FB page for my politics, but personal page is private. Where you don't share politics? Okay. Oh, okay, Merrick. Okay, I get what you're saying now. Audrey, it's a influence. Good stuff. All right, so these bubbles that we have, and this especially happens with private accounts. Okay, this especially happens with private accounts because when you go and look at your feed, it's people who are basically sharing things back and forth. Joe, everything is public except for Insta. All right. Interesting mix. Y'all have an interesting mix. Okay. Some are more worried about privacy than others, and that's okay. Right? So let's watch this. I'm going to turn off the music bed here. All right.
Mark Zuckerberg, a journalist, was asking him a question about the news feed. And the journalist was asking him, why is this so important? And Zuckerberg said, a squirrel dying in your front yard may be more relevant to your interests right now than people dying in Africa. And I want to talk about what a web based on that idea of relevance might look like. So when I was growing up in a really rural area in Maine, the internet meant something very different to me. It meant a connection to the world. It meant something that would connect us all together. And I was sure that it was going to be great for democracy and for our society. But there's this kind of shift in how information is flowing online. And it's invisible. And if we don't pay attention to it, it could be a real problem. So I first noticed this in a place I spend a lot of time, my Facebook page. I'm progressive politically, big surprise, but I've always gone out of my way to meet conservatives. I like hearing what they're thinking about. I like seeing what they link to. I like learning a thing or two. And so I was kind of surprised when I noticed one day that the conservatives had disappeared from my Facebook feed. And what it turned out was going on was that Facebook was looking at which links I clicked on. And it was noticing that actually I was clicking more on my liberal friends' links than on my conservative friends' links. And without consulting me about it, it had edited them out. They disappeared. So Facebook isn't the only place that's doing this.
He's got a lot of
invisible,
friends.
Algorithmic editing of the web. Google's doing it too. If I search for something and you search for something, even right now at the very same time, we may get very different search results. Even if you're logged out, one engineer told me, there are 57 signals that Google looks at. Everything from what kind of computer you're on, to what kind of browser you're using, to where you're located, that it uses to personally tailor your query results. Think about it for a second. There is no standard Google anymore. And the funny thing about this is that it's hard to see. You can't see how different your search results are from anyone else's. But a couple of weeks ago, I asked a bunch of friends to Google Egypt and to send me screenshots of what they got. So here's my friend Scott's screenshot, and here's my friend Daniel's screenshot. When you put them side by side, you don't even have to read the links to see how different these two pages are. But when you do read the links, it's really quite remarkable. Daniel didn't get anything about the protests in Egypt at all in his first page of Google results. Scott's results were full of them. And this was the big story of the day at that time. That's how different these results are becoming. So it's not just Google and Facebook either. This is something that's sweeping the web. There are a whole host of companies that are doing this kind of personalization. Yahoo News, the biggest news site on the internet, is now personalized. Different people get different things. Huffington Post, Washington Post, New York Times, all flirting with personalization in various ways. And where this moves us very quickly toward a world in which the internet is showing us what it thinks we want to see, but not necessarily what we need to see. As Eric Schmidt said, it'll be very hard for people to watch or consume something that has not, in some sense, been tailored for them. So I do think this is a problem. And I think if you take all of these filters together, if you take all of these algorithms, you get what I call a filter bubble. And your filter bubble is kind of your own personal, unique universe of information that you live in online. And what's in your filter bubble depends on who you are, and it depends on what you do. But the thing is that you don't decide what gets in.
Yahoo News.
And more importantly, you don't actually see what gets edited out. So one of the problems with the filter bubble was discovered by some researchers at Netflix. And they were looking at the Netflix queues, and they noticed something kind of funny that a lot of us probably have noticed, which is there are some movies that just sort of zip right up and out to our houses. They enter the queue, they just zip right out. So Iron Man zips right out, right? And Waiting for Superman can wait for a really long time. What they discovered was that in our Netflix queues, there's kind of this epic struggle going on between our future aspirational selves and our more impulsive present selves. We all want to be someone who has watched Rashomon. But
it's a good
right
movie.
Now, we want to watch Ace Ventura for the 4th time.
Yes, as I did the other day.
So the best editing gives us a bit of both. It gives us a little bit of Justin Bieber and a little bit of Afghanistan. It gives us some information vegetables. It gives us some information dessert. And the challenge with these kind of algorithmic filters, these personalized filters, is that because they're mainly looking at what you click on first, it can throw off that balance. And instead of a balanced information diet, you can end up surrounded by information junk food. So what this suggests is actually that we may have the story about the internet wrong. In a broadcast society, this is how the founding mythology goes, right? In a broadcast society, there were these gatekeepers, the editors, and they controlled the flows of information. And along came the internet, and it swept them out of the way, and it allowed all of us to connect together, and it was awesome. But that's not actually what's happening right now. What we're seeing is more of a passing of the torch from human gatekeepers to algorithmic ones. And the thing is that the algorithms don't yet have the kind of embedded ethics that the editors did. So if algorithms are going to curate the world for us, if they're going to decide what we get to see and what we don't get to see, then we need to make sure that they're not just keyed to relevance. We need to make sure that they also show us things that are uncomfortable or challenging or important. This is what TED does, right? Other points of view. And the thing is, we've actually kind of been here before as a society. In 1915, it's not like newspapers were sweating a lot about their civic responsibilities. Then people kind of noticed that they were doing something really important. That in fact, you couldn't have a functioning democracy if citizens didn't get a good flow of information. That the newspapers were critical because they were acting as the filter, and that journalistic ethics developed. It wasn't perfect, but it got us through the last century. And so now, we're kind of back in 1915 on the web. And we need the new gatekeepers to encode that kind of responsibility into the code that they're writing. I know there are a lot of people here from Facebook and from Google, Larry and Sergey, people who have helped build the web as it is, and I'm grateful for that. But we really need you to make sure that these algorithms have encoded in them a sense of the public life, a sense of civic responsibility. We need you to make sure that they're transparent enough that we can see what the rules are that determine what gets through our filters. And we need you to give us some control so that we can decide what gets through and what doesn't. Because I think we really need the internet to be that thing that we all dreamed of it being. We need it to connect us all together. We need it to introduce us to new ideas and new people and different perspectives. And it's not going to do that if it leaves us all isolated in a web of one. Thank you. Thank you.
Ooh, look at that. Standing ovation. All right. Woo! All right. TED. I'm sure you've heard of what TED is. Okay. So that was Eli no. I love how when I first went to it, it didn't autoplay, but now that I've watched it, it's like, oh, no, autoplay. All right, so that was Eli Pariser. Okay. All right. So what do we think? What do we think of these bubbles? These bubbles. Where do you get your news from? So you have these social media accounts. Where do you get your news from those social media accounts? Or do you get it from people sharing news on your social media account? These are very important questions. You want for a democratic society to exist appropriately and by the virtues set forth by those who are like, this is what democracy is. You need an informed populace. So where do you get your news from? And why does this matter for something like a discussion on groups? It matters because of group polarization, as you watched or read, right? Group polarization, when the individual attitude toward a given thing, whether it's a person, idea, group, another group, an abstraction, whatever, where your opinion is taken to the extreme. Okay, I know you haven't existed in different time periods, but doesn't it feel like, and it's just a feeling, but doesn't it feel like the internet allows us to be a little bit more and more and more and more polarized as time goes on? And consider the last 4 years versus the previous 8. I know that you were a kid during many of that time, but consider it. See what you can do. So, all right. Let me. So, what do you think of that? Do we feel more polarized? Let me know in chat as I read some of these responses for where y'all get news. So, Merrick, I exclusively keep the news to YouTube websites. Okay. He gets news from social media. Merrick, not trust people on social media every time. Name. Leah, you get news from your family. Rachel gets news from social media, but read each article, check sources. Okay. Grayson, I get my pop. You call it. You don't have to put quotation marks around that. From social media. Oh, okay. So you get your pop culture news from social media, but like real news, podcasts that aren't restrained by corporations and personalities. I assume that you mean other people trying to influence. Fair. What kind of podcasts? Which podcasts are you listening to then, if I may ask? AJ gets all of his news from social media. That's okay. Fair. Waking up with Sam Harris and GRE. Acronyms, you gotta explain acronyms. I don't know all the acronyms in the world. Joe Rogan Experience. Thank you. Would not have come up to that at all. Joe Rogan Experience. Oh boy, Joe Rogan. That guy. Oh man. Kitty from 90s. I do feel we are more polarized. If you want to keep friends, don't discuss religion or politics. That's an interesting adage. It could potentially be true. A lot of people think politics have very personal underpinnings to them, for sure. Gentlemen scientists use newspaper accounts of social media plus the podcasts of selected specialist topics. Okay. And you are in Germany, correct? If not, I may have gotten that confused. Okay, you are in Germany. So, how would you consider the German media compared to American media? Like, what's the comparison there? Is it as ostentatious as ostentatiously propagandist as American media? Audrey, I've never been the kind of person to seek out news or current events. When I see someone I follow post about a recent event, I'll look into it a little bit myself. Okay. Joe Rogan is the most unfiltered, most objective, most reliable source on news nowadays. Good joke. I will say that I do not agree with that, Grayson, but you are welcome to continue consuming him. Does news to you all just feel overwhelming and just a pain in the butt? Does it just feel like it's too much? And that's why some of you don't seek it out. Like it's not a lot. Like it's not. Back on. Go. Oh, Psychology Today's website, Psych Central. Okay. Take a lot of the posts on Psychology Today with a grain of salt, Kitty of Freedom. It's not bad. I'm just saying that it's not necessarily like superb. Psych Central is potentially even worse. Okay, fair enough. Gentleman scientist, fair enough. I presume German media are more subtle in influence. Okay. Scientific podcasts you follow is US based. Okay. Fair enough. As somebody who I was just curious, as somebody who both consumes and operates in German and English, I was just curious if you like find yourself on Fox News sometimes. Yeah, I mean, I agree with so I would say that I also have this issue myself, is that news just feels overwhelming. I tend to get most of my news from direct news sources on Twitter. So, you know, whether that be the Washington Post or a reporter for NBC, or I do get a lot of my news from NPR, which is why you hear me talking about NPR all the time. It's like, ooh, I heard that on NPR. I have a smart speaker right here that I can just say, hey, yo, let me listen to NPR and that sort of thing. So yeah. Do we feel, I don't think anybody has really answered this question. Do we feel that life is a bit more polarized? That good-intentioned attitudes are being taken to the extreme? Unbiased news sources, outlets. I would consider NPR to be unbiased. And that you can both listen to them and read their news and read their articles, or listen to their stuff as podcasts. There are a group of conservatives that would argue that NPR is liberal. I don't think that. But, you know, they are public media, and so there is that stigma associated with them. But I would fully argue that NPR is balanced and unbiased. Other sources, it's very hard. It's difficult to identify an unbiased source because, I mean, I can tell you a ton of reliable sources. Associated Press is a reliable source. Okay, Reuters, Washington Post, the New York Times, even the Wall Street Journal is reliable. But you have to separate reliability in reporting the news and getting the news out to people versus bias. Okay, because bias comes from people. And people are who present the news. Whether they're on TV, in a newspaper, in a magazine, on a podcast. The people. And so, again, we return to one of the major themes for this class is bias. People are biased. So Grayson has the right idea I don't know if agenda is the right word, but bias is certainly the right word. Okay? So, yes. Reliable are anything, anywhere where you can get news that has existed and has been, awarded with journalistic awards and these kinds of things. But as far as the people presenting the news and the people who write the news and the people who procure the news, that's all biased. Okay? So reliability and bias. It's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked that, Sophia. I'm glad you did. Okay? Alright. So moving on from this. So group polarization. Yeah, I think anything, even with the best intentions, taken to the extreme is bad. Yeah, I would say so. That's what happens with group polarization. Okay. One person asked, and I don't know, I can't remember who asked this, but can groups function correctly or in a positive way without an identified leader? And the interesting thing to note with that question is most of the time a leader will emerge, regardless if you don't want a leader to emerge. Okay, so I give you what I actually recently read about. I actually read about this last night. The United States of America, from 1781 to 1789 was a loose confederation of sovereign states. Okay, so the states were a part of the broad country, and that first constitution, as you may have learned about, was the Articles of Confederation. Well, the Articles of Confederation said very, very early, the first or second article, I think it was the second article, that the Articles of Confederation could not overstep the individual sovereignty of all of these states, and I'm talking specifically about the 13 original states of the United States. Okay. And so there was no leader. There was a leader of the the Federation Congress, which was still referred to as the Continental Congress during that time because nobody had a better name for it. There was a leader of the Congress, but that leader did not have a direct lead over the federal. It wasn't even considered federal at the time. The federal administration of all of these states. And obviously, that wasn't working. That wasn't working at all. The states were just doing stuff willy-nilly, and, they had to finish the revolution, right? Because the articles were adopted in 81. Had to finish the revolution by 1783. And then there was that 5-year period where, really bad things happened. Like Shays' Rebellion, for example. Really bad things happened. So the question is, can they function correctly or in a positive way without an identified leader? And I would say that experiment, the answer was no. Now, I'm sure that there are probably other examples. That literally, the Articles of Confederation is just one example. And I'm not a historian. I just read about it. But I thought that that the fact that we our founding friends had to figure out a better way to do this, and literally the second article of the Constitution is, there needs to be a central executive that's much like the king, even though we call this person the president. So I think it's a good example of saying that groups will eventually create a leader. Groups will eventually organically get a leader, even if one doesn't exist at the formation of the group. Things like when you even go all the way back to early human interaction, that there is a head of the kin group. Okay, head of the kin group. Which eventually, when kins got together, eventually became the chief of the tribe, which then expanded to the king, or the emperor, or the whatever. And so a leader eventually spawns. Okay? Eventually spawns out of the group. And we can take a little literary track. I'm sure you may have read The Lord of the Flies in school, right? I don't remember some of the names. I only remember Piggy. But they tried to, live on this island as a commune, like, hey, whoever has the conch shell gets to speak, right? Is the leader of the moment, and then that created a sense of anarchy. And so then the one kid was like, I'm gonna be the leader, and I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. Let's kill Piggy and eat him. And then Piggy and the other main character had to, like, run away. And then all the kids died, right? Because that's how the book ends. Gentleman Scientist, that's a very good question. Would a leader emerge in a group because that's humans as a species of social animal is programmed to look for? I don't know if I would say to look for, but it is instinctive in primates to have alphas, right? And those alphas tend to be males, of course, in chimps and gorillas and things like that, because they are, generally speaking, physically bigger. And there is a division of labor within these groups, and of course humans did evolve from, or have a had a common ancestor with these current primates. And so yeah, it's probably some sort of biological mechanism that is part of it. Yeah. You read it in 5th grade? I can't remember when I read it. I think I read it in 9th? That. Yeah, not a book for 5th graders. You are correct. There's a movie about it, by the way. Yeah. Oh yeah, so Kitty, asking about similar outcome in the Stanford prison experience. I said experience. Yes, I did. Because it was not an experiment. Stanford prison experience. Not a quest for leadership, I would argue. Not a quest for leadership. There were less passive folks who were who tried to be nonconformists to the guards, but then that ended up, like, creating significant issues, right? Yeah. All right. The other thing I wanted to talk about with the internet is how the internet created an age of rage. Okay, so this has to do with anonymity on the internet and questions about de-individuation, which many of you had questions about de-individuation. And one person asked, is de-individuation, can de-individuation be good? I think the answer to that question is maybe. It definitely depends. But how many of you have dealt with a troll? How many of you have dealt with a troll? And here's some examples. I think these were procured because they do not have terribly foul language in them. I hate Stuart Lee with a passion. He's like Ian Huntley to me. Warto15. I don't know on Twitter. I saw him at a gig once, and even off stage, he was exuding an aura of creepy, molesty smugness. One man I would love to beat with a... okay, sorry, there is language. Shit-covered cricket bat. It's from The Guardian, so it's British. De-individuation, Kitty, is when you lose your individual identity as a member of a crowd participating in some behavior. Okay. Interesting side discussion going on about hyenas. I wouldn't call people fools, Eric. Literally what we're talking about right now. He's got one of the faces... he's got one of those faces that I just want to burn. I hope Stuart Lee dies. What the hell? If I ever find you, Lee, I promise I will kick the crap out of you. Stuart Lee is a cynical man who has never been able to find a career out of his own smugness. I hope the effing Crohn's disease, which is not how you spell Crohn's, kills him. Great. He said sarcastically. I spent the entire time thinking of how much I want to punch Stuart Lee in the face instead of laughing. He does have an incredibly punchable face, doesn't he? I could just close my eyes, but fantasizing about punching Stuart Lee is still more fun than sitting in complete stony silence. Ow. So, do any of you have hecklers? Have you dealt with a troll in your life? Do you know someone who is a internet troll? Who likes to just be trolly? Trolly. I got emailed one time. This is a great story while you're answering. I got emailed one time by not an anonymous troll. But, so I published a paper back in 2019, which is a theoretical dismemberment of the Myers-Briggs type indicator. And so if you take more classes from me, you'll hear how much I hate it, eventually. Or you can go read that paper. But I got emailed by this guy, Paul, who is the founder of a pro-MBTI website and personality service. Like, he makes money off of, like, consulting with people about their MBTI, like, 4 letters or whatever. So he emailed me and he said how, like, dumb I was and how stupid I was, and that he would love to tell me all about how ridiculous my conclusions were and everything. It was great. And the funny thing is that I have a friend from grad school who knew his daughter. Like, small world. Anyways, Grayson, what is the matter with Myers-Briggs? Oh, everything. Everything is wrong. I don't have the time to go into it. I'm planning to do a separate stream sometime soon where I just go through, like, all of the garbage. So if you want to join that one, you'll obviously get notified when I go live. It is a flaming pile of garbage. And an affront. An affront. Personality psychology. Sophia, I'm so sorry you know this person. So one of the things that yeah, gentlemen scientists, I agree. These internet trolls like that are discussed here are equivalent to high school bullies and even middle and grade school other grade school bully, like elementary school, middle school, even lower level bullies. I think sometimes they have the communication skills of younger students. It is a dumpster fire. Okay. One of the things that I had problems with right at the beginning of transferring to online using Twitch in the spring semester was I used Twitch, and chat was open to everyone. And you know, like when people were Zoom bombing and everything, they would come in with very awful things to say. Luckily, they couldn't link anything. I had turned links off, but they would come in and just be so rude. And I still get the occasional one, but I found that like turning on followers only chat allowed me to identify, because people would have to follow first before they could start typing in chat, just like you all have, which is great. It basically mitigated the problem. I still get the occasional person, like the other day somebody tried to jump in. You may have seen very quickly what they said. I think they called me sexy or something like that, and I was just like, oh, that's nice, but no. Wow, Audrey, that is rough. I know a guy who will hear your opinion, even if he agrees on it. He'll start calling you names, being rude, even if he said that he agrees with the opinion. That sucks. That's awful. Bummer. In our last few minutes, I just wanted to share with you all, and I'm gonna link these here just in case you want to read them a little bit more. But one question I have for you, as many of you are burgeoning students who will likely have to do this, how many of you are anxious public speakers? How many of you are anxious public speakers? Well, according to this research, it may be exacerbated by who you look at when you're talking. Okay, so if you are public speaking, only focus on the people who are like, not the ones who are like, you know. It could potentially be, yeah. Yeah, Sophia, that's a good question. They're related concepts, right? So we had to look bored. The story that I was telling in yesterday's stream, we had to look bored and stuff, and that was supposed to increase the anxiety levels of multiracial participant. Yeah. So luckily, all of you will have to do some sort of public speaking as a college student. So, you're welcome. You know, I still get anxious. I still do get anxious. Going up in front of a new crowd. So, you know, this semester won't be any different. I still do get anxious. I just, what you'll eventually do is learn to channel that nervousness into enthusiasm and effectiveness. It's a skill though, so it takes quite a bit to master, of course, and I wouldn't say that I've mastered it, but yeah, I mean, it does suck, but eventually you do get better at it. Eventually you do get better at it. So there was that one, and then this one was about alcohol and social bonding. Because of alcohol's cultural influence and cultural impact in young people, I saw this and I wanted to share it. So again, if you want to read this more closely on your own, there's the link for it. Moderate doses of alcohol increase social bonding. Okay, and I'm sure you've heard of the fact that sometimes alcohol is referred to as liquid courage, right? It's a depressant, so it sort of removes the social blocks that we have. So this is, I think, from a physiological standpoint, this kind of finding is a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, that makes sense. But it says moderate levels of alcohol, so not just like getting wasted or whatever, right? So just be aware of that. It's not for the faint of heart. What else? Oh yeah, and this is the last one. This is the last one because I'm gonna grab this because it's mad that I think it's mad that I have ad block on. Research, being in a group makes us less likely to fact check. I actually was supposed to, I grabbed this to share with the TED Talk that we just watched, but be that as it may, it's there. It's there for you to look at. Birds of a feather flock together. Okay. That's a good question, Kitty. I think it would be. I think just based on the fact that the kind of depressant that alcohol is, and the receptors that it binds to psychoactively. But again, moderate level, not like getting wasted or blackout drunk or anything like that. All right, so I am going to end the stream here. A reminder to my students that tomorrow from midnight to 11:59 is quiz 2 for the week. Just this week's topics, so just Monday through Thursday, and the lecture videos that are based on that. So 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, just that, and then the chapters that are associated with that in the book. Again, it is open note, open video, open book, right? So I think there are 7 short answers and 1 bonus. So I think like 8 total questions. I don't remember exactly, but it is available. So a reminder to make sure that you do that. And you have 60 minutes to do that with a 5-minute grace period. So 65 minutes. So once you start it, you got to finish it. All right. Give it your best shot. You can even sort of prepare yourself before clicking start, with the open note and open stuff. So please do that. That is tomorrow. It is now 11, so I am going to end the stream. Thanks, everyone, for a great chat. I loved today. Today's chat was amazing. Participating in that group activity was perfect. So I love that. And have a really good weekend, everyone. I'll see you all on Monday. Bye.